Let me thank this growing, and I underline growing, coalition of community organizations. There were so many people and organizations who wanted to join us today, but on 2 days' notice, it was a little bit tight, but this is a beautiful sea of diversity of our community, and I want to thank you. Give yourselves a big round of applause. It is fitting that we're gathered here in the courtroom, the People's Courtroom, historically a place restored to its original condition in the 1890s. This was a place where great debates were held. It was a place where conventions were held, and the business of the people was settled. Today we have come to settle some business about who we are in Bexar County. We have come to say that our values are not owned by the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, but by we the people. Yes, we are endowed by our Creator to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. On the morning after people of faith last night gathered at San Fernando Cathedral with a spirit of unity, a spirit of open and tolerant space, a peaceful space, a space wishing us blessings of prosperity for all, a spirit we all have something to contribute in this beautiful place we call home. We stand today not to attack what we hate. We stand today to protect and defend what we love. We are not actually against a Republican convention. Well, some of us may be, but I'm not per se. We'll host the Texas Republican Convention in June at, of all places, Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, of irony of all ironies. But we're standing up because we will not be disrespected by the rhetoric of a president who steps into our home and calls the lineage of the majority of our population rapists and murderers. If someone comes into your home and disrespects you that way, you have the right to say that you do not want them to come into your home. There have been tools of mass distraction and mass distortion that have been used over the last few days, saying that I and this coalition do not believe Republicans should choose their nominee and who they should be. Nobody has said such a thing. Look, forget about Make America Great Again. How about Make America Read Again? There are those who said we are simply being partisan because it's a Republican convention. I can't speak for everyone behind me, but I can say as for me, I would actually be for a Republican convention in San Antonio, but not with this president at the top of the ticket and his disrespectful rhetoric. His disrespectful rhetoric tearing apart the house we have all built as an oasis of racial peace and reconciliation in San Antonio. Imperfect as we may be, but moving forward. Adelante, towards a more perfect union. As an elected official, my first duty is to the safety and security of the people that elected me. Those who pay for the police, those who pay for the fire, those who will pay for the hospitals and more for those who will visit us in any convention. And because this president's rhetoric has been hotter than any American president in centuries, we must understand that if San Antonio would receive a 2020 renomination of President Trump, we would be the epicenter of the American political civil war for the many groups he has offended.
That's right.
We would have outside leftist militant forces, violent ones, in this city. And we would have, of course, Homeland Security to defend us. They do that for every convention. That was present in Chicago in 1968 too. We would have the same dynamic in what is perceived, and I actually disagree, Gilbert. I think if you rethink this, let's go through this, okay? We would have the same dynamic that is perceived as oppressive, a political leader like Mayor Daley. You literally have historians writing books about dictatorship and this president. Oppressive. And people who believe that, which is on the record, that the president condones violence against those who oppose him, protesters. However, what some in our business community have not thought about is that, which is hard to defend against. And what happens when someone comes into your house and offends you, and the city is not protected by the barriers downtown of Homeland Security, but around 410 and Ingram Road or Pleasanton Road or other parts of this great city? We have learned a lot by watching our nation's leader and have passed his prologue, even if the spirit of silver-tongued Ronald Reagan rose from the dead to write the president's speech, his renomination speech, our president has avoided his better angels in staying on the script. He is given only to fall back to the bad habits of anarchist statements that tear down the norms of civility and held this diverse nation together moving forward. You would also have a fractured Republican Party like you did in the Democratic Party in 1968. Internally, mainstream Republicans I grew up with against the anarchists that are trying to take over today. There is a reason that 7 or more cities have taken a pass on hosting this convention. And frankly, the group in the San Antonio Convention and hospitality industry, while they have taken a default position I can understand, are actually outliers, and it therefore is extreme in the position of their counterparts around the nation, who have taken a pass because they deemed that the money didn't mitigate the risk to their cities. The President of Mexico has already barred government officials from traveling to the United States because of President Trump's rhetoric. Recently, the dean of the St. Mary's Law School told me that they invited the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Mexico to speak at St. Mary's Law School. When the President of Mexico heard that the Chief Justice was thinking about a visit coming to the United States, he expressed his concerns to continue the boycott. The Chief Justice said, "I'm not going to the United States. I'm going to St. Mary's University, San Antonio, Texas. That is a special place that we have in the world that could be tarnished and imperiled in the hearts of the international community and many Americans. We also must protect the $644 million each year in travel and leisure from Mexican nationals and the over $3 billion they spend each year here in all forms of economic development. This pales in comparison to the $180 million the convention is expected to earn. Yes, Brad Parscale has said it would be one of the biggest food and catering events in the history of the city. But who do you think is cooking the food? Who do you think is going to be serving the food? And in the words of Senator Menendez, who isn't here because his wife is in the hospital, I would hate to eat the mole. Montezuma's revenge a la norte. Should our arguments surrounding our security, our brand, and our economy fall on deaf ears, this growing coalition will vote on whether to hold accountable elected officials and boycott businesses that support this nomination process. They have the freedom to support, and we have the freedom to not support. The debate is not about whether or not we want to hear the other side. We can hear you on TV, radio, streaming, friend to friend, or in the newspaper. I recently told Speaker Strauss that I wanted to co-author an op-ed with him in defense of the Republican Party, for I said, "You are being overtaken by anarchists." He said, "Tommy, you're right. I look forward to turning the page on this issue and working as I have always done, side by side with my colleagues from the other side of the aisle, not seeing their party, but respecting their voice, their vote, and their perspective as Americans moving forward towards a more perfect union. And when that is the spirit in which this president and his advisors want to come to San Antonio, I will gladly give a gracious welcoming speech into our home, San Antonio, the city of the future, a city of unity, a city of liberty and justice for all. As we acknowledge this week our rich past, we are entrusted to secure our country and our county's future. We are in an international city, first and foremost. We draw strength from every cultural experience: Native American, Spanish, German, African, Japanese, Czech, French, Italian, Greek, Lebanese, British, Chinese. And we are an international city, and we've been this way. Let's keep moving toward an affirmation of that beautiful tapestry that has already made America great. Thank you very much.